All right, folks, welcome back for another recap show here at Big Old Bell Media. Lucas and Nigeria bringing you the latest and hottest and the official recap show of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. Folks, we truly appreciate everybody's love, comments, gratitude to Ade, who we had on last week in the interview, who plays Scrappy. Fantastic episode by him. Gone too soon, but he'll be forever in the Power Universe. And obviously the love you give us each and every week on our recap show. But yeah, tonight we're moving forward to episode 3, Sleeping Dolls. What a crazy episode. This may be the most unpredictable conclusion of an episode I've seen in Power. I did not see Unique going out the way he went out, and he's alive, but in terms of him being the man on the block, having the street cred, to almost being downgraded to nothing. He said his name don't even ring out in the streets like it used to. He said there's other Uniques out there on the streets, and all he knows is Southside, so there's nowhere for him to go. He just wants peace. But yet he turned over his Glock, his gat, and says, I'm in. And that's what it was. What a crazy turn of events. We got all that and more on tonight's episode. But Lou, how you feeling, man?
I about to say, did he hand over the jump to Rock and say, you got the juice now? Oh man. Yeah. We are here to give you this amazing, like, one, the whole chase down shit with Unique that happens this episode is funny and thrilling at the same time, as they're literally trying to find him this entire episode, and for them to find him the way they did, and then to make that deal. One, it shows. I know some of y'all say Rock is a horrible business person. I don't know how y'all got that. I don't know. I saw some of the comments last week. I turned out to comment because one nigga said that I don't like black fathers. I don't know how he got that either. But just to her playing the chessboard properly. Like, let's try to bring him on. Ain't no reason to get rid of him. As she said, we don't need more bodies in the streets. It's not going to be good for any of us to do that. So let's bring him on, and him understanding, like, I have no more clout. Like, I'm out dry in these streets. I have no other option here. Yeah. And kind of, as Rock would know, you need to take advantage of someone when they're desperate.
Yeah.
Especially after getting rid of Scrap. So you clearly need someone else at this point.
Yeah.
They can have that same mentality.
Yeah.
And that's kind of unique.
And you brought up last week about the move that they pulled to Roel. I mean, doesn't the same rules apply here with Unique? And you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just use it again. I also thought another interesting term used in this episode, and obviously, folks, I don't know the street world, so don't be out here clocking me and whatnot. But she did say something that I do know in the business world, and she said this is a franchise, which means everybody can buy in. And so she opened up a new property for him that she owns, and I think that's just kind of how you look at it. She says if we're going to expand, and we'll get to it. This conversation is about expanding and how fast they're expanding, but New Jersey's obviously on the map or on target right now in terms of opportunity. And why not have Unique knows the block, and as you say, he don't have anything to his name don't have no weight in the streets. Why not? But it is interesting that it is respected that he says, like, I can shake you up when I want to, and no one looked across the room and say he's not lying. Like, everybody knew, like, if you want to touch it, he can do it. And that's an interesting thing. That, and I also think that it's interesting that Lulu was also very much advocating, like, listen, this is business. This ain't personal. I know you tried to shoot me or tried to kill me. It's his business. And no matter if he's, you know, in the studio 23 hours of the day and 1 hour on the block, he still brings a level of IQ to this that just makes sense. And Marvin respects it. Rock respected it, and that's what it was. It said, listen, this is the decision. They went across the board, and the unanimous decision said, we need Unique. And Unique, I guess we got to see next week, where does he fit in now? And I know one person that's happy, Roel, because he was kind of in the middle, where they're like, listen, you know.
But is he happy? Because if I'm Unique, like, I ain't going to forget what you did. Just because we may be on the same team right now don't mean I'm going to forget that. And
Yeah.
if I play this game right, play this position properly, I can possibly get my payback on you. Because in the end, you turned on me.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
wait till your man get locked down and then say, you know what, I'm gonna
Brother.
treat you like an IG honey. Like, I'm gonna move on to the next. I'm gonna move on to the next hot one instead.
Yep. But folks, before we get into tonight's episode, going through the chain of events, jump in the comments, let us know your favorite parts of tonight's episode, some of your takes from it, and obviously, if you're feeling generous, hit us in the super chat. We like to keep the lights on over here, so anything helps. But let's start at the top of the show, and we have Unique going to play Jilliana a visit. It's interesting because Jilliana is just, she got the kids in there doing what they want to do. She's hip. And then Unique just walks up on her with the gun pointing, and that's the last that's the last bit of hours she clocked in on this episode, locked it down, and and obviously, by chain of events, this happens because Unique's baby mom obviously knew that this was a stash spot. He robs the spot, kidnaps her, and makes it very clear to Rock that only he can do something like this. When they went down process of elimination, it started to become like, who would do this? No one's crazy enough to do this. And then it got narrowed down to only Unique, because and I want you to chime in on this, Lucas. It's because for me, you look at Unique as a credible street dude, just another competitor on the block. But for him to be able to move in the way he does, for him to make a presence in the way he does, without money, without resources, and still make an impact, like what's sort of the psychology of this character that he's respected in that way, to not have nothing but still to completely rupture any type of operations that's happening.
It's him having nothing to lose. I think that's what they pointed to more than anything else. Like, in all honesty, who else would do this? It would have to be someone who, like, they're at their wits' end. There is no other option, and they don't care about how the outcome works. And that was Unique in this episode, and that's how they pinpointed that it was him that would even attempt to do something like this. Anyone else would be too scared because of the blowback that can happen. But if you ain't got nothing, what blowback are you worrying about? But you gonna make my life worse? Like, I already ain't got nothing. I'm already sleeping on my girl's mama couch, and she mad because I can't pay for trips to AC no more. So like, I have nothing to lose here. So again, the scariest person in any story or any aspect of life, the scariest person is somebody with nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Because there's literally no telling what they're willing to do.
Yeah.
And that was Unique in his episode. I mean, he kidnapped Jilliana while she was watching Telemundo. Like, one of them telenovelas. I know she was. I know, because she was too deep into it, Joe. She was too deep into it. I know somebody baby had got kidnapped by somebody's stepdaughter who was their real sister, and she was intrigued. But the whole time it's amazing they showed Jilliana here of her not fully understanding the situation she's in.
Yeah.
Like, you're in a stash house, a big stash house. You would assume she would be just nervous enough where she's watching everything, but it also speaks to the comfortable nature that Rock creates and why it would have had to be Unique who did something like this. Because would you be this comfortable if you were running a store with $1 million plus possibly dollars in cash and random people coming in? Nah, you're never going to be comfortable. But you understand that Rock runs everything. Her team runs everything. So no one would possibly think about doing anything of this nature. And then here we are with Unique doing it. So again, it's that I have nothing to lose mentality, and I know enough to get to you when I need to get to you because I have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we saw in what's that, BMF? Yep.
What aspect?
With Lamar.
Oh yeah.
It's the same nothing to lose mentality. Like, I ain't got nothing to lose. What do you think I'm going to do?
Yeah, very true. Yeah, desperate person is one of the most dangerous people in all aspects of the world. So, So it's interesting. This next thing is Howard going to visit Kanan, because this aspect of this episode is full circle. We got Howard going to visit Kanan bright and early in this episode. We got Kanan going to visit Howard at the end of this episode, because it's all circling around to clarity. Howard goes to let him know, I'm your father. Kanan completely laughs him out, which is like probably one of the funniest laughs I've ever seen, because he definitely was just like, what the hell is he talking about? But he makes a declaration saying that, I want to be in your life, whatever that looks like. I want to be there. I want you to chime in on this part of the episode, but I also want you to chime in on that comment from last week in terms of why would Howard now want to be in Kanan's life?
No one can explain that. Even the people who commented about, well, I hope we keep that same energy with Rock. There is no energy to keep. She literally loves and wants Kanan. Granted, she goes about it in the worst ways at times humanly possible.
No, they said that with Juke and her mother.
No. One of the comments said it about I thought they said it about Rock too. I know about the one with Juke and her mom, but it's a little more parallel, but we don't know the full story of Juke's mom. So we can't even go into that category. But here with Howard, is it just because he just legacy? Did almost dying cause him to now want to be in Kanan's life? But then that would be weird, because Kanan shot you. Like, you know who tried to kill you. Like, normally you had those revelations when you get caught up in something streetwise or being a cop and you get shot and you start reflecting on life. But there's no real reflection here necessary. You didn't raise this kid. You just found out who he was a year maybe ago, maybe 7 months ago, the way the storyline works out here. So it's not like we're going through a long history of you knowing who Kanan was and then you pining over it or contemplating, should I be in my son's life? Here, it still feels like it's selfish, because in all honesty, by you coming out now to say that, you're not doing it for Kanan. You're doing it strictly for you. Right. So you've made the decision to blow up his life because it makes you feel better.
Right.
It makes you a horrible person, actually.
I feel like there's a couple of things I need to say here. First of all, I feel like in our recaps and reviews, folks, like, no one's taking this stuff personal. Like, we're not looking at Omar Epps or our own personal lives and trying to project thoughts about this. We're strictly looking at the characters here. So when you're asking why does he want to be in Kanan's life, we're trying to dissect these characters, what we know about these characters, and what's their intentions going forward. So I can chime in and say that, like, it is strange, because we know that the whole first season was behind motive. He needed his blood. He needed to save his life. So now that that's off the board, now why does he want him in there is the question. If he wants to be a father, fine. But I don't even think you can determine that until this episode. Later in this episode, I think there was a certain conversation that starts to make him want to be credible as a father, which is why the beginning right now, what we're talking about, and what we're talking about at the end will be sort of two different conversations. But for me, I think Omar Epps in our interview kind of gave us a little tidbit that really speaks to volumes. I know the word gets throws around left and right, but when the actor can say that the character is a narcissist, then that's what it is, which means that every single thing that he does is for himself, period. Yes. So that's how you have to look at it. So now you go revisit the question again. What is he doing this for? Is it to stroke his ego? Is he trying to get something back at Rock? Is he trying to prove the peers around him that, and you brought up legacy. It ain't so much as legacy in a personal standpoint. We can take a look at the conversation that Burke had with Adina, Burke had with her dad. Yeah. Everybody knows who Detective Howard is and what he means to this community. Everybody has been around him, knows that the different achievements that he's done, and just how recognized and how accomplished he is. So is this a metric of him continue to pat himself in terms of wanting to be that guy? What better way to be that guy than to prove to your son, your own flesh and blood, that you're that guy? Is he inserting him into his life?
You're taking him away from someone who you saw, someone who the neighborhood sees as that guy. So if I can say, nah, I smashed his girl, that's my son. it's your ego that kicks in. Because other than that, it makes no sense. Rock said it in season 1 when Howard first approached her about this. You're putting Kanan in danger.
Yeah.
Immediate danger if someone was to find out he was your son.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's not a good thing. It weighs no positive impact for anyone but Howard and his ego. Yeah. It's not positive for anybody else.
Yeah.
So again, that's what we're questioning, because I'm still a tad bit confused on why Howard is so obsessed with getting this information out to Kanan. Because again, we had clear motives last season, very clear. He needed a bone marrow transplant or transfusion to survive. That's what he needed Kanan for. But now, what the hell is it for? Especially at this point in the episode, what the hell is it for?
Yeah. So, folks, chime in comments. Let us know your thoughts on how you is. I mean, and obviously we'll talk about the second half of it, because I think that brings other perspective about it. But as you're listening to this in real time, if you're listening to this in the chat right now, just, chime in. Let us know your thoughts. Again, it has nothing to do with us saying like, oh, that he's a father. Why wouldn't he want to be a father? That's not it at all. Again, and don't listen to our words. Listen to Omar Epps. He said it himself. He's a narcissist. Look up the definition of narcissist. Like, what more can we further elaborate on it? Like,
why do we as black men have to hate black fathers?
I don't know. I don't even know. Like, I felt like I tried to like spin it around in the sense of like, hey, listen, we're talking about characters here. We're not projecting like political or societal views on things. Like we're just talking about the character. It's always been about the power universe. That's what we talk about here, folks. Like I don't get it. We can chime in on personal experiences, but we also don't project those personal experiences to like that's what the show is doing. Like,
no. Because Buddy, listen. If it was, then I would want Howard to be it. Oh shit! Yeah, no, none of that. Again, Jesus. Just you said, pay attention to the interview with Omar. He says it about the character, Howard, and his thought process. And here, just like you all are trying to figure out, we all feel, knowing this character so far in 1.5 seasons, like he has to have an end game here. Yeah, and here we're just trying to figure out what that end game could be.
And not to mention too, he also mentioned about like his character being a chess player. I mean, I asked him because I said that's how he moves. It's all about what's his next move. And in chess ain't checkers, it's obviously about eventually getting to becoming the guy, becoming the king. No matter who you have to cross. And like he said, like I think that's a perfect way to describe the character. So like think what y'all want. Like, I'm not just talking to be talking here. These are things and thoughts that have been acknowledged by the people who play these characters, who've seen the script. The season's over. They're already filming season 3, so he knows the entirety of everything. He has no reason to not give actual thoughts about it. It's not like he's watching episode 3 and like, well, I think he's going to do this. Like, no, he fucking knows what he's going to do. You know what I mean? So
look here, anyway, black men are great fathers. Black men don't cheat. I'm trying to think of all the things we don't do. So we ain't here to hate on nobody.
Moving on. Rowell, they bring him up about how he's, his whole position in the thing. They started talking about New York being spoken for. Rock is ready to go to Jersey. Marvin ain't too sure yet about this expansion. As I mentioned, Rock said, we are franchising. All things lead to New Jersey. I don't think we have nothing to talk about here because this was cut short because they realized some other things are to come. But it's important to know that's the direction of the show right now. South Side and New York, New York got their own thing going on, and you theorize who's in what parts. But South Side right now is Rock's, and now Rock says we need you. No one got Jersey held down, which is also bad intel.
Clearly, like look, and it is very simple. As I was watching this episode, and they was talking about Jersey. Me being me, immediately thought about The Sopranos and said, wait a minute. I'm assuming some people are in Jersey that we care. But again, I think that's something that we're gonna have to see, because maybe it's another gang in New Jersey that we just don't know about. Maybe it's a connection through someone else in the Power universe.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that could
people
be
want
dope
that.
and interesting. I mean, hey, everybody waiting for it. Maybe it's somebody who's going to eventually help with the Queen's Child's Project. We never know who could be in New Jersey. But as Rock says, she up here trying to open up these dope fillets and franchise, and that's the key part here. Again, you don't survive by staying stagnant in one place. You gotta spread out as much as humanly possible.
Yep. So we get a performance by HK Jukebox, Haley Kilgore, by the way, HK. Get a performance by her, and even before Lucan said it, I mean, she's so talented. And I literally said, like, you can feel her vocals. I didn't even know the subject matter of her song, and I listened to it like twice, but it doesn't matter. You could just feel the soul in her performance. She's fantastic. I'm glad that they spotlighted her talent, not to just elevate Juke, the character, in terms of everything the character's dealing with, but just giving Haley a platform to like do her thing. And again, fantastic actor, fantastic artist, really dope. And I really liked how Marvin, which I'm almost sure this had to be either improv or like whatever, but like him coming in saying like, that's my niece, like that's legitimately the only response that somebody would give in a situation like that, putting on for her. And then it became a thing between Crown and Lou. Also, you should take a look at our interview with Michael Mays, as he said like he would love to do a spinoff with the two of them. And I think this is just the first, like one of the first elements of that being factual, because like, think about this, like they're creating their own little dilemma each and every episode. Crown versus Lou, who's going to get who on what? And this is where Crown clearly oversteps, saying you're supposed to look like a bitch a nigga want to fuck, and he said, listen, that is my niece, sir. You are out of line, sir. What is your thoughts as this?
I'm about to say, in all honesty, was he out of line? Let's keep it real here. Ain't too many, like, you know what? And it's only because this is the time period that, and so again, don't say anything. Don't compare it to what's going on now, possibly.
Yeah.
Where you could get someone like, and I know I'm gonna fuck people, like someone like a Sid now.
Janelle Monáe.
Who's beautiful. No, Janelle Monáe still looks like somebody you want to smash. But
no, I mean, but like when you think about, I mean, okay, let's
I mean, someone who's more masculine presenting. So that's why I said Sid. Sid is that way. Sid has a beautiful voice, amazing voice, but she's more masculine presenting. So when you get someone who presents more masculine, back then in the 90s, that wasn't selling. You couldn't move that type of artist.
Yeah.
You had to be someone who dudes wanted to fuck, and
it's weird
women
because
wanted to be.
It's weird
that's
because
what you had to be.
It's weird because TLC definitely came through and was just like, yeah, we're going to wear what we want. And
they had on baggy clothes, but all of them look like somebody you want to smash. I mean, it's a completely different.
It's really hard. Like, in all honesty, it's really hard. I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
but we all know how bad Haley looks. So like, it's
but that's the funny part. Trust me, that's more the funny part of that. But Juke here, she's dressing like a guy. Yeah. She's dressing in her being comfortable.
Fresh, by the way, too.
Yeah. Come on now. We ain't gonna talk about that. But like she dressing like Kanan, technically.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know what? That's not the look for 90s R&B. You're not gonna name a 90s woman in R&B who dressed anything like this at all. So yes, you have to look a certain way. And then even Lulu coming around and saying, you're a pretty girl, but even he had to understand, like,
yeah, got maximize what you have. I was like, whoa, what?
Yeah, it's just that it was just a harsh way to say it, to that being his niece. Because if that was just another artist, I don't think he'd have had an issue at all with Crown pointing that out. But he's like, man, that's my niece. You can't say that. Yes, I can. Your niece is an artist. You got to be able to separate the two. And she needs to dress more sexy in the 90s. You can't.
Yeah,
no one was going for the tough looking. Even the Brat struggled in the 90s, and she was a rapper. Like, come on, man. They made her come out in a string bikini on the album. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it's man. Hey, when you think about it, Irv Gotti is a sick guy.
Wow.
Irv Gotti's a
the point you even took it to Irv Gotti, but
it's a
was he? Am I lying? Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, men. And matter of fact, fan bases weren't evolved enough in the 90s for just your talent to show.
That's
you
true.
had to have so much more. You couldn't even be a bigger woman with a good voice in the 90s. Like, we were shocked when Kelly Price hit, because everybody like, that's different. Like, that ain't somebody we normally want to see singing these type of songs. So again, it's the 90s. So appearance is as important, if not more important, than the actual talent.
Definitely more important. There was a lot of attractive women who were either one-hit wonders or just features on the song. Back to Irv Gotti, Charlie Baltimore. I can't tell you a song she actually had, but I can tell you that everybody knows who she is.
No Charlie Baltimore. Stop.
But everybody knew who she was, though.
It ain't because of Irv Gotti that everybody know who Charlie Baltimore is, though.
Yeah, because she looked good, but also I'm pretty.
She was signed by Biggie. That's why everybody know who Charlie Baltimore is.
I don't think so, bro.
He says at the beginning of the beef when he's talking about the commission. Charlie Baltimore, that's her Iceberg Slim, the most shady Frankie baby.
All I remember is red hair on the beach on that.
She was one of Big's jumps right after Kim, Charlie Baltimore and Faith. Like all of them had to share Big. That's my guy. But again, it also shows that we didn't care how rappers look, but it was just the singing. Again, it's the singing aspect of it all. So again, I think it's an important conversation to have for this time period. And I think it really sets things in motion and what's going to happen with Juke.
Yeah.
And why we see the transition of possibly where she goes immediately to in the future.
Yeah, I start
to have too much talent.
I start to think that I really feel like they might have spent more time with Juke's story arc than Kanan, because I feel like you look at Juke and who we know she becomes, and you start to bring all of the dialogue that adult Kanan was given about her, all of the different things that she done. You kind of look at how calculated she was, and so we know that, and like we recognize that character. But when you take that character and you start to say, I need to create a profile about this character. So you say, well, is she smart? Why is she smart? Oh, she can sing. Why does she sing? She's a cop. Why is she a cop? Why is she queer? Why is she respected? Why was she able to have a legit job but also do side dirty stuff? Why was she had no problem with kidnapping a kid and holding them for ransom? I feel like this is what we're getting, is that they're taking every bit of that character and they're saying, we need to address that. We need to address this. We need to address this. And I mean, we'll talk about it later on in this episode, but like there was other parts of this. It's like, oh, I get why they threw that in there, because you need to address. That's why she responds the way she does, and so on. So I think, to be honest, I think there's a lot of good writing in Power, but I think this may be the best written character that we've seen that touch multiple series of Power. Just the continuity between the two is just getting better and better, and we still got season 3 to go, and who knows how many seasons we get of this, because Sasha also said they're not in no rush. I mean, because why? You get to the finish line, then the series over, so you're clearly in no rush to get to that point.
You got so much space between where this series would need to end, and the initial series of Power would need to be. Or matter of fact, to the point where we're no longer raising Kanan. Like we got a big gap of time here. So I think that's something else that's clear and important to pay attention to. Again, it's amazing how they building up Jukebox here. She just needs to, I guess, wear like what were they wearing back then? Leggings? Was it leggings? Chockers?
Nah.
Oh, baseball jerseys, because that's what Mary J. Blige wore in Real Love video.
Next
I'm trying to think.
Stop it. Anyway, Crown and Lou, they go at it about Jessica and getting her the job, and she wanting to do it. So Lou understands she's an opportunist. I don't think he cares right now, but maybe we'll see that come to effect at some point later on in the series. Marvin in therapy, he seems to be buying in. He's really sitting here trying to figure out about regulating and de-escalating situations, regulating his breathing and de-escalating situations, and he's taking it to heart. Like, we'll come back to it in a little bit, but he's feeling it right now. He's buying into it. Anyway, going to Famous and Kanan. Famous telling Kanan that Scrap is dead by suicide. He killed himself. His family all went to the spot. Everybody knows, except for Kanan. Rock knows, and so on. And Scrap, and Kanan says Scrap wouldn't do nothing like that. Had nothing to do with his eye. He loved his eye because that made him revered. He says, like, people were scared of him when he had that. So he was definitely on board for that. And Kanan just to sit here putting thoughts together like this does not make sense. But in the meantime, Famous is still out on these streets. He's looking for a spot. Kanan, being his boy, trying to figure it out for him. He says, listen, the tapes ain't selling, so we're going to have to sell them different. And that's where he starts to put together a plan. And Famous doesn't even care because at this point, he's also very desperate. So he's just like, all right, well, we'll do what we got to do. But then before this scene ends, he says, why would my mom not tell me about Scrap? And that I thought was a very, very big part of this episode going forward. You want to jump in and say anything or go to the next?
I'm about to say that's a big part of the trust issues that we already explored in season 1 between Kanan and Rock. And again, like, Scrap being as important as he is to the operation, it would make absolutely no. That's one of the things you wonder, like, man, Rock let the ball drop there. You should have been the first person that told Kanan that, hey, I don't know what's going on, but Scrap killed himself. And because if you break it to him, it's different. But when she gets to the point of him finding out on his own, it creates a non-trust issue for him, especially with everything with him and Howard. Like, clearly now, I can't trust anything you say because I don't believe you. And she did the Rock smirk that we talked about when she told me.
Oh no, I got to counter this time. How many times she did it? Yeah. She she wrapped him up on this episode. The Rock eyes is what we're calling though. It's like
them jokes get big and be like this. Be like, nah. You're like, oh, nigga, you lying. But again, it's good. This whole thing with him and Famous and selling tapes a different way because it ain't working, basically saying your shit is trash and we need to move something else to make money here, especially after everything that happened with them and the cops. I think this was a nice little turnaround to that whole experience.
Oh, was it? Because I definitely got questions, but we'll talk about it in a little bit too. By the way, like, Patina's completely gorgeous, and like, I just, I'd be a sucker. If she gave me the Rock eyes, I will believe anything she say too. So I'm like, oh
no. See, on television, we can say like, she like, in real life, I'd be like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Like, this is Mars, isn't it? I thought it was a little hot outside.
You're right, like, shit, Jesus was killing people. Like, I'm believing everything she says. I'm not asking any questions. I'm believing everything she says.
Yeah, there is 6 fingers on this hand. You're right.
No bullshit. Damn, I'm an alien like shit. Thank you, baby.
Anyway, let's go to Rock looking for Juliana. She goes to the store. She calls her store's closed, realizing that she's been robbed because she uses her key to get in there. I swear to God, yelled at the screen like, she better have a key. When she opened up the key, I was like, okay, good, because that would have made sense. She did have a key, but she used the key to get in there, realize she'd been robbed, and this sends her on a search all around. She goes to her spot. She calls her there. She's in straight panic. Also, Lou isn't picking up the phone because he's in the studio right now. But as she said, when she goes back to meet Marvin, she says, hey, Lou ain't answering the phone. Marvin says Lou is in the studio. Said all the money's gone. The security tapes are gone. Juliana's gone. And it's a big thing of like, well, who could do this? First thing, let's just go ahead and debunk this right now before we get any deeper in the episode. Did Juliana take it? No, because why would she take it? Because that would be just like her taking from her cousins. And why would she take for Joaquin? But then Marvin also being, and again, this is why the sibling trio work, because everybody brings something different. Rock is in complete desperation mode because she's like, what is happening? But Marvin makes it very clear that, hey, we still got business. We got to re-up in 2 days. Do we need to tell Joaquin right now? Because if we don't, shit's going to get ugly.
In trouble. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, puts that thought in her head and they start the process of elimination. And then it just came down to one name. And that one name happened to be Unique. So, now all roads leads to where is Unique? Where's this guy at? And they need to have a meet. Marvin, going back to Marvin and his therapist, she also reiterates about Marvin working on his breathing and whatnot. And he's googly eyed over her. Yes, Miss Renee. And so, and maybe he's just a sucker for women, but he instantly applies his teachings right in this episode because he definitely gets fucked with the guy in the wheelchair, which is like, I don't even know how I feel about this. I mean, my man definitely in his feelings because like he said, did he say it takes him 50 minutes to get an elevator? I'm like, okay, that's pretty fucked up. But like, dude is just like, I've been shot 7 times and you think I'm scared of you? And Marvin starts tensing up and he's like, brother, you're right. We're going to fix the elevator. Everybody get off. My man got to get on here. He got places to go. So Marvin is applying his therapy lessons.
I'd beat the shit out of that dude in the wheelchair. I would have been good. I would have breathed and everything up until he got on the elevator. And Mom was like, man, you're good. Don't worry about it. It better be good. Man.
Hey, I'm trying to tell you, man, listen, funny story though. It's these type of dudes, they really exist.
Oh no. Oh, 1,000% so. 1,000% so. Ain't nothing worse than a nigga that survived a shootout. Let me tell y'all now. Ain't nothing worse than it. Because they feel like they should be invincible. But you be like, but you not. You clearly are not invincible. You're in a wheelchair. Like you do understand what that means. That means you was hit often and still suffer. Like, come on now. But again, it's good to see him not be the hothead that we are accustomed to seeing Marvin be here. Of him just understanding, like, you know what? Because I think this is something like this could make him the most dangerous person on this show.
Oh, because he's having stability to all of this. So, like, and again, London recently on the Crew Has It podcast with Gianni and Michael Rainey, who plays Braden, and Tariq of Power Book 2, Ghost. Having him talk about how fun this character is and how he's really able to really like get into this role and do these different things, like. This is a moment that I just really appreciate the character because, like, we know he has the comedy background, and even still, he's making this character not just some gangster who eats snacks. Like, you see these little small comedic moments with him. We're seeing him take sort of untraditional styles of a gangster, but like that again makes him dangerous. One minute he's giving the best advice to Rock, who's the leader of everything. The next minute he's like de-escalating the situation that could have easily been a quick stomping for him, and he did. Even the guy was looking like, wait, what? He didn't clap back to that? Sometimes you don't have to jump right away, sometimes you got to kind of see the things out. And I really like Marvin and then London just having so much fun with this, and I really love this small scene. So Kanan, simultaneously while this is happening, Kanan is up in the spot. He's Rock's son, so everybody's letting him through, no questions asked. He goes up there and steals a stash of drugs. Now he's going to use this to put inside the tapes. They get back out on the block. The streets need the bodies playing. Sales are going. It's funny that the cops come by and do not rough them up this time. That's what my concern was earlier. I was like, oh, they're like, oh, sales are good. Okay, we'll leave you alone. So sales are bad? So that means you can rough me up?
At first, they was just like, oh, the niggas ain't gonna sell no mixtape. Nobody's buying your shitty music. So here is more of them like saying, oh, man, y'all are succeeding. That's cool. In the 90s in New York, niggas didn't care. Everybody sold mixtapes. So, like he's probably thinking, oh, man, this is good. Y'all are succeeding. And then you got people coming up, hey man, y'all got that famous? Like,
yeah,
so
let me get too famous. Let me get too famous is what I was like. That's got to be the funniest part of this entire episode. I'm saying, yo, let me get too famous.
Exactly.
Go around the block.
So
and
again, that's why the police left them alone. Like again, you wanted to, you see kids succeeding and doing something else. That was the rough up was first to make sure they weren't selling drugs. Or anything of that nature. So you really see them selling mixtape. You kind of thinking, oh man, at least they trying to do something positive. Now understanding they are not doing anything positive here. They selling crack in the tapes.
Yeah. True that. Shannon Burke, Detective Shannon Burke, she goes and has beers with her dad. They reminisce about their mom, who has passed, and they're just kind of having some nostalgia between the two of them. A really cute moment between her and her dad. But her dad comes in. Obviously, her dad is ex-law enforcement because he also knows about Detective Howard. He hears about what happened and whatnot. And he said, listen, and this is honestly the part that I wanted to talk to her, Shanley, about in our interview. Hopefully we get to have her again soon. Really amazing person. Yeah. Really. I spent a lot of time talking to her at the red carpet. She's just an amazing person. And it's to be very clear, it's unfair for a character that we're really starting to see unfold have to do interviews before the season because there's entirely too much she can't talk about. And this is a very, very pivotal part about the arc of her character, because when your parents come in, especially when you're talking about one of your deceased parents, like so right now everything's completely soft and everything is ready to be absorbed in this moment. Meaning, like, whatever your dad is about to preach after you just came off of this touchy moment with your mother, you're about to take this like there's no tomorrow. Like, and that's what he did. He says, listen, you're never supposed to wonder about your partner. It's all about trust. This is how you stay alive. Law. There's no rebuttal here. You got to take that and walk away. And so what's important here is because all she's been doing is not trusting. So now we're going to see her truly evolve into something else. And even her being the, as you like to describe, the obsessed cop, which I'm glad she did one more trial in terms of wanting to figure out answers for her own, which we'll talk about in a second. Again, this was definitely a very key moment into her getting ready to back up off of Howard. Which to me is so interesting because now we don't know what's next for Howard. We don't know Howard's motives. And if Burke ain't suspicious of Howard, then what is she doing on the show? So
here's the more interesting part. We're seeing both of the characters turn at the same time.
True.
And be something completely different than what they were showcased at the beginning. So why at first we could possibly stereotype them, now that's no longer the case. Howard gets shot. Howard turns on a completely different leaf of what he wants to be moving forward. And here with Burke, the exact same thing. And as you said before, storytelling 101, folks, when you break it down anything, and we don't do overly big breakdowns of the show.
Yeah.
But the moment you start introducing family members and talking about past things, and that tells us that your arc is about to be huge.
Yeah.
Because all of that pays dividends to why it's being brought up. Nothing here is a throwaway line between Burke and her father.
Yeah, it's what been my most intrigue, in terms of characters that I've just been truly invested in. It goes back to Polly in Power Book 4, where you got his son who was on drugs, and you started to say, oh, okay, interesting. This plays a huge part in his decision making. What does that mean for the Flanagans and everything at hand? Like, you don't just introduce a huge liability of a son and don't think there's more to come, which is, with characters potentially down left and right. With his son being introduced, I say, oh, he's safe for a little while. There's definitely something to come. And this is the same thing with Burke here. It's just like introducing the dad and introducing the ex-girlfriend, which we'll talk about in a second. There is a completely interesting arc coming from her that I can't wait to see what happens. And I love that I can't predict it right now. You folks can get in the comments and let us know your thoughts. Matter of fact, there's been some really good predictions in the comments. I may try to pull them up really quick because there were some things people said that I think we should read off in terms of predictions going forward. But like, definitely chime in for tonight's episode predictions of things you think are potentially on the way. Howard in the bed with Escort, who is a mother who has some very interesting perspective about the truth. And how does that play a part in your relationship with your kid? Howard did mention to her that kids are not dumb. And she came back and said, they may not be dumb, but they will know one thing, that I would do anything for my kid. Does not matter. I think Howard was trying to just get a quick one-off with this chick and got a lot more than what he thought he paid for. He got a big dose of reality that I think he quickly metabolized, which also changes his mindset going forward.
He wasn't trying to get no quick nothing off. He started asking the hooker questions. No one knew. I don't want to know who you are. All of that. You got a kid? Like, oh no, no, I'm fine. I'm fine not knowing any of this.
Oh my God!
You are here for a service. I am here to pay for a service. You are here to perform a service. Once our transactional thing is done, I don't want to know about. I refuse to let an escort give me life advice. I don't think it's something I need. But again, it is nice for Howard to hear this because it did change his mind a little on Kanan, on how to think about things.
Yeah.
Like asking the escort, like, you think your son know you a hoe? Like, that's a hell of a question to ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just her perception on what would her son think about it, or does her son think about it? And then she said at the end, like, no matter what, he knows it. Even if he know I'm a hoe, he know I'm a hoe for him.
Yeah.
Like, that's the key part. Like, if I'm doing it for you. Like, I ain't just out here not doing it for anything. Like, it shows the amount of love and care that she has for her child. And that's what's making Howard like, damn, like, you know, maybe I should be loving this little nigga more in this life. And like, it's amazing. It's amazing that post-nut clarity and what it will do to you.
Jesus Christ. Oh boy. So Rock Eyes is back when Kanan brings up about his interaction with Howard and lying to Kanan and bringing up saying that, you know, when he brings up that, you know, he says he's my father, she debunks it every way she can as possible. She said you need to keep your head down. He's going to forget about you. I mean, it was really no point in me even like jotting down her dialogue because she literally read off every bit of excuses that she can to say, this ain't true and whatnot. And it's fine because the only important thing to know is that like she's lying and Kanan ain't just fully accepting this now. He has questions. But yeah, in this scene, we did get an extra 3 sets of Rock Eyes. So you know, and then just to top it off, when he brings up about Scrap killing herself, and she kind of just like, yeah, you know, you just never know and stuff like that, and there's that. And Kanan just again was just like, all right, well, I'm also not buying that either. So
hey, hit Kanan with the niggas die every day, B.
Yep.
And no, he was gonna go with it. Like, come on, man, it makes no sense.
So we get introduced to Adina, who is Burke's ex-girlfriend. They used to work together. They're getting coffee. And you know, they bring up she meet Burke wants to meet her because he also needs extra clarification, clarity, understanding about Howard, and also another person who has worked with Howard, so she knows and what he's about, and she basically, you know, and she knows Burke too, and she knew exactly why she was called there and what was everything. So there was really nothing that caught her off guard here. What's interesting is that, you know, she brought up about Howard having secrets, and Adina says, well, we all have secrets. I was your secret, Burke ain't had no answer for that one because, yeah, when reality hit, you got a good dose of it right there. So, this is just another person proving Burke that she needs to just drop the suspicion, even though she's looking for clarity. But now she done asked her dad. She done asked her ex-girlfriend. I don't think there's no other places for her to go. I think now, again, we start to see the evolution of this character become something that she wasn't originally pitched to be. So maybe she doesn't become
Blanca.
Blanca Knox. Yeah. Maybe she don't become none of the Sax. Yeah. Lucky for her, because man, you don't want to go on that side of the power.
Maybe she come my guy from Ghost, the one they killed. I forget his name all of a sudden.
Proctor?
No, not Proctor. No one can be Proctor. From Power.
Oh, from
2. Ghost. Yeah, the one was sleeping with Monet. Maybe Burke go down that road. I hope not to sleep with somebody. I mean, in a way, he was helping the family out along with everything else.
Oh, I cannot believe I can't think of his name. Also, I just seen him on a new Netflix show, and I was like, oh, he's playing the exact same character.
Like he got the dirty cop on lock.
I was not expecting that. I was like, oh, he's very fiery in his speeches and everything. I was like, oh, we all talking about Zeke's dad, right?
Wait, no, we ain't talking about Dante. Wait. When you said it, I had to think. I was like, wait a minute, is he talking about Echoes? No, I'm not talking about Dante.
Hey, yo, I watched 10 minutes of that. I was like, oh, nah. Not right now. I'll come back later. I was like, oh, nah. Dante back doing exactly the same thing. I was
drinking shit and watched like 3 episodes of that. That shit is crazy. But I'm talking about the the original cop that Kane. I say Kanan. I'm about to say Kanan killed. Kane killed.
Oh yeah. The one that
how he was technically helping now and things of this nature.
Maybe, I can't even think. The one that gave the
maybe Burke not fully the crooked route with the family, but more that way with Howard.
Yeah. And
the way she becomes possibly overly supportive of him, the way that cop was overly supportive of Monet.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anyway, I love the fact that like I really can't predict about these two characters, and we know they're important. You're not getting rid of Omar. They're very high on Stanley, so like I expect to see them for the duration of this series. I know Power is always the idea of somebody may die, but these are not two characters I see that in their future, and there still seems to be a lot more story to tell with them. I'm looking forward to it. So and did I mention that Burke did break her heart? So Burke is a little silent killer out here. Don't let her little cute face fool you. She'll break your heart out here, and that should be noted that she can be and she was a secret too. So she also yeah, I forgot to put this in my note. So Burke essentially lost a girlfriend because she was not open about her sexuality on her workforce. I know the time period may be completely problematic, but I can imagine that this conversation will be something that she has with Juke that gives further perspective.
What happens with Juke and going on with her relationship.
Yeah, and Juke is already right now in a situation like this is who I am, and you're starting to see what the pros and cons of her decisions she makes in terms of how she displays her sexuality, in terms of like if you're this way you get this, if you're this way you get this, if you don't do this then this happens. You know what I mean? Stay true to yourself, and I think that may be a little bit of motivation to make Juke just really to make all the decisions she wants and don't care who has anything to say about it, which is good, which is entirely good. Definitely. So. And we know that Burke has an IOU, but only not she has a level of safety and trust with Juke, and won't be long before she goes and pay her a visit again. I'm sure of that. So anyway, what's going on here? So Lulu and Marvin, listening to Juke, she's good. Oh yeah, we all agree. Did she ever ask about me? The answer is no. That got Marvin completely in his feelings, and he said, "Listen, I realized that I fucked all the way up," and got right out the car. Lulu had something else to say to him, but he wasn't able to because Marvin was just like, I'm gone. So while we see him going through therapy, we also know that this whole season seems to be about him rekindling his relationship with his daughter, and it truly affects him to the utmost.
Or dealing with the things that trigger him.
Yeah.
And maybe one of the things that, again, especially as we see the reintroduction possibly of Juke's mom to their storyline, you gotta kind of wonder, are those triggers that he sees in Juke that he took out on her because of the mom? And when you're dealing with anger management, you it's not just one thing that triggers you. It's normally a multitude of things that trigger you. So maybe this is one of his triggers, and as he's working on himself to make himself better, it can possibly help him to become better with Juke, even though Juke's at a point right now where she don't want to hear nothing from him.
Yeah.
But that never has to be permanent.
Yeah. All right, so Crown out here looking out for Famous, trying to find him something, trying to help him find something so he get back on his feet. Says nothing promised, but he says he's going to see what he can do. Well, it's clear Crown got connection, so I think we could have a little bit of reassurance here. Rest assurance is the word. That Crown will pull something for Famous. And I also think Crown is moving in ways that may not be, I mean, Crown doesn't have the money, obviously, but Crown has influence in a way to make things happen. But you know, he said, I told your sister I'll look out for you. And he's keeping, as he says, your man of his word. And Famous said he may not speak to her. So Famous is clearly still salty about his family leaving him out to dry, but it looks like Crown has some future plans to help him out. And obviously, you're not just going to help him if there's not something you want. I don't really want to talk about this right now. I want to get to the towards the end of this episode. But yeah, it seems like, you know, it's Monopoly here because Crown's next move is let's go talk to Rock. And Rock is looking like, what the hell is he doing here right now? And this is Rock saying, listen, I think we both have a problem. We both want Lou.
We need Lou back where he was
the
at.
Studio.
Okay.
We need him out the studio. And says, how about this? And I thought this was just genius here. Hey, how about I say you're part of the label and you can wash your money, and then this
do my business.
Do my business, and this gets him back on the streets. And he was worried that Lou may find out, and Rock says Lou won't know shit. She got the call because it looks like they done got a lead on Unique. So there's going to be more to talk about with this, but it looks like Crown is setting up a plan to get Lou out the studio. It's not how I saw this going.
Or he's setting a plan to get murdered. It's one of the two. We just don't know which one it is yet.
Not Lou. You talking about Crown getting himself murdered?
Yes, Crown getting himself murdered. Not Lou getting murdered. No. He said because in the end, you still went to family about family. And while it's a great idea to wash the money through your studio, that don't mean we need you in the studio.
Yeah. I wish I could think of an example, but I've definitely seen examples of this where somebody think they got a good idea and trying to double cross somebody, and they really just fuck themselves up. And that's
exactly, especially with my man 90s P from Quality Control running around in this suit every episode. You never know, like what the plans are going to be, especially when him, because right as they're chasing down Unique, him and Rock meet. And he like, I hear about you. Say, oh yeah, I know who you are. And kept it moving. But again, it's just another element that we need to pay attention to moving forward.
Yeah. So Juke is going down the street and she's seeing all these people happy, people of all ethnicities, people of different sexualities. Love is in the building. I think that hits a very comforting spot for her as she's on her pursuit to her mother. Her mother's at the church. Her mother is leading the choir, singing. It's LaToya Luckett, folks. Of course she's going to sing in this. Without a doubt, she can sing. And it's just the perfect casting because we done heard a strong performance by Haley. We get a pseudo performance. We get let me be clear. We get a subpar performance by LaToya Luckett because this is a small introduction to her. Expect to see her truly blow at some point in this season. I bet my dollar on that. But I think
a duet at a piano between her and Juke. We can write that one. We know that's gonna happen.
Right on iTunes immediately once the episode drops.
They might as well just go ahead and sing Torn.
Yeah. But and the reason why I say it's a subpar because like we just want to be introduced to the fact that she can sing, whether you know Latoya Luckett or not. We want to know that she can sing. And Juke comes in, it's like, oh, that's my mother. Oh my God, she can sing. And she started. This is the whole reflection of I don't know what to say to her, but also this is where I get my passion for singing. And we start to see this start to develop, and obviously she runs out, and her mother runs after her. And and like you said, I'm looking forward to that duet. I'm also looking for a solo. I want to hear Latoya sing, and I want her to have the same type of segment or moment within this episode, like Juke got in this episode. But
what's the duet on Sister Act 2? They in the church. That's what we gonna get. Oh, Eye on the Sparrow. That's what we gonna get. I'm telling you, just be prepared. We're gonna get that 90s Eye on the Sparrow joint again.
Let me tell you.
And on Sister Act 2, Lauryn Hill was dressed like Jukebox. Come on, man. Come on, man. We gonna get that.
Listen, if this was Lee Daniels, that would have happened right now. It'd been right on right now. It would have been a whole thing just then. But you know, that's
we're famous having a rap break in between it. Just.
Absolutely. But yeah, we just get a small glimpse of her talent, and subpar probably is lack of better words, but like a small glimpse of her talent just to introduce that her mom can sing and what her mom is into the church. You know, the gospel is obviously a source of just I'm like forgetting words, but like singing the gospel of praise. That's the word I'm looking for here. And then
a better way to put it, especially for Black people, and especially for in this time period, is a form of awakening and clarity you can get from a church and anything of that nature. And that don't necessarily mean you become a spiritual person, but maybe it gives you more clarity on your life. And maybe that's what we're leaning towards with Juke, because she's clearly searching for something.
Yeah. That well said. Thank you very much. Let's get to the last part of the episode here. Unique versus Rock. He said Roel is just the messenger and I'm the message. And, you know, he said, listen, you know, framing me for Howard, everyone's hot on him at this point. He said he can't walk out in the street. Everybody's looking for him. We already heard in previous episodes that the cops were still in Unique. He says, my business is done. My name is done. Rock, you won. I just want to be left alone. And I know I can still touch you and the Colombians. This guy is very confident here with all the guns pointing at him. He knows what he can still do, but he just wants peace for his family. And I'm going to bring up something in a second, but, you know, much like the focus of seeing his family in his mom and his baby mom's house, you know, that's kind of that moment we realize like he's just about wanting the protection of his son, wanting the protection of his baby mother. You know, he know he's lost, and he said it. You know, and he robbed them because peace has a price. I mean, man, somebody is spitting out here because, like, true facts. Like these are very much very factual statements that need to be said, and you had to have sort of a setup like that in order for it to be said, because nobody's giving you peace for free. But there's that, and like I said, everywhere has a unique. Some may have a rock. I thought that was an interesting choice of words as well too. And he says, like, you know, all he knows is Southside. So I'm retired. Jerseys and the Raptors. I just want to live. And he turns over his gun, and it looks like we may have a small alliance going on here. Lou said it ain't personal. Unique said it's not personal, and that was it. So, two things here. One, what's your take of this, your assessment of this transfer of power? How do you see this kind of playing out? Did you see this happening? Just your full-blown reaction to this moment.
Quickly, just the ending part between Unique and Lulu. We saw it in season 1 when them two had a discussion with each other. There was a lot of mutual respect between them two. If we go to Unique saying basically every hood has a Unique, some even have a rock. He's speaking more of the mindset than the person. Like Unique is in all honesty, in the heart of hearts, Unique is a corner boy.
Yeah, like
you'll find those everywhere. You'll find a soldier everywhere. You're not going to find a leader of that soldier and of an army everywhere. That's what he means by, you know, there's a few rocks out here, meaning that you're rare, and I understand that you're rare, and I understand I'm not. So I understand that it's easy for the business to move beyond me.
Yeah.
But I just want peace in the end. But this is a very weird way to go about getting peace. As I was watching the episode, I assumed the moment they were looking for Unique, the first thing I would have done is kidnap his family. I'm gonna get your attention. Like again, as 50 said in the song, as Conway said in the song, man, I'm gonna get tired of looking for you. I'm gonna spray your mama crib and have your ass look for me. It's very simple here. I'd have kidnapped his family. Then you're gonna have to come see me. There's no, and clearly that's Unique's focus. Unique's whole focus is him wanting to be a man who can lead his family. No, by all any means necessary. And if that means I need to work for you, if that means I just need to step away from this, I just don't want to be bothered by anybody. Yeah. I don't want, and more importantly, then I'm gonna let you go. I don't need you to perceive me as a threat. Because as long as Rock perceives him as a threat, he know he can't be safe.
Yeah.
So you have to do something to let her know I'm not a threat to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a weird way to go about it. But by the end of it, it's obvious that he's pointing out to her, I'm not a threat to you.
Yeah.
I just want my peace.
Yeah.
And my piece of the pie.
Somebody last week said the camera stayed on. This is from M626M. Said the camera stayed a little extra on Unique's son. I wonder if he's someone that we will meet in book 2.
I swear y'all niggas is in book 2. In Tariq's book?
I don't think it's Tariq's book. I mean, I don't know where, but like, I mean, I think the emphasis on his son. Yeah, I think the emphasis on his son is like, do we see his son grow up to be a part in this? I mean, it wouldn't be. I don't know. I mean, I get what he's saying because based by ages, like, you know, if Tariq is the son of
James,
yeah, and James is 4 or 5 years younger than Kanan.
So James would be about 12, 13.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Unique is the same age as Kanan's, around, let's just say around the same age as Rocking him. So they're like, what, in their 30s, I think they are? Yeah, they're in their 30s, I think.
Yeah.
So
Unique may be a little younger, but
and
yeah,
then his son is
close to the same age.
Yeah, and then his son is just young.
Nah,
it just doesn't add up. So anyway,
I just think everybody needs there is no connection.
Yeah,
I think the longing at the camera for Unique's son had way more to do with
him wanting to make a decision to protect him.
Yeah, it's the safety of it all. What's more important to me?
Yeah,
being the man on the street or providing and protecting my son.
Absolutely,
providing and protecting my son is way more important than being the man.
You don't have the money to do it, so I forgot other ways to do it. So
yep.
Jerron Jenkins says, I think Juke mama gay, and that's why Marvin is so emotional about Juke liking girls. I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean,
yeah, that's
nothing to really comment on that.
But it's not. Who said that? Jerron.
Yeah.
You named Jerron, so you clearly was born in the 90s because ain't no Jerron's born in the 80s. So maybe you weren't alive for this time period to understand just how harsh everybody was treated if you were a part of the community in the 90s. So Marvin's reaction fits with the same reaction that parents had when they were just kicking their kids out at 14 years old because you're that way. Yeah.
One of our favorites, Miss Sharon, says, I think Juke mother left because she didn't want to be part, is what she tried to say, part of the drug gang any longer. And she and Marvin had a pact that he would keep Juke while she tried to pursue her singing career. Juke mother is definitely part of their drug game. I think Rock don't mess with her, and May tried to kill her. I mean, again, I'm not.
Fits. I said that last episode.
Yeah.
That could be part of it. She left is that she didn't want to be involved in the family business.
Yeah.
And that was the beef between her and Rock.
Yeah. Well, that's all I'm gonna read for the comments. folks totally jump in the comments for this week. Let us know about tonight's episode. As we talk about the very, very last thing in this episode, Kanan goes to see Howard. He said, I'm not even mad that you shot me. He wouldn't snitch on his son. He is building trust with Kanan. Kanan went to go look for him to have a talk. He just let him know what it was. I think there's more conversations for the two of them to be had, but I think for right now, he's just gaining more reassurance and more trust. Everything that his mom is saying, I don't think that Howard is like dictating things that Rocker's saying. I think he's just calling it what it is. Like, hey, I know you shot me. I'm not gonna snitch. I'm not gonna do that to my son. It's not right. Kanan's like, interesting. My mom tell me a whole different narrative here. So, and with his mom losing points on trust, I think that does nothing but helps Howard on the other end. Yeah, hurting herself by lying. So, anything else you want to add on this episode before we roll out for the night?
Nope.
Then there's no more to be said. This is our recap of episode 3 of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Sleeping Dogs. Folks, jump in the comments. Go crazy. Let us know your thoughts, your favorite moments, your theories, your predictions as we get ready for episode 4 next week. Thank you for tuning in. Y'all be safe, and we'll see you then.
Big Go Bell.